Welcome to Caffeine Confessionals. We are here to talk about the Challenge Double Agents episode 18, part 1 of the finale. I am Allan Nikki. I'm joined by my lovely co-host. We got Mr. Luke Muncie.
What's up, guys? We made it.
And Miss Nikki Sin.
Hello. We're finally here, kind of.
Yep, and it is a two-part finale where they're going to give us, I think, a 1-hour episode each rather than push the pace and give us one 90-minute episode. They got to get those viewers for an extra week. They got to get that advertiser for an extra week. They're keeping us on the hook because we're talking about it right here, right now. And before we got the final, we got a scene of the house where the four pairs all had their little party in the igloo, hyping themselves up for why they're going to win. What do you guys think of before the final sequence?
It looked lame, but I mean, I guess if you've got 8 people who pretty much like each other, and it's going to be lame. But it was nice. You know, I will say, seeing the 8 of them there, I thought, okay, these are all fairly solid people.
Yeah, it gave me very like early on pandemic party vibes when they were like, okay, you can have 10 people, but you can't go anywhere cool. So we're just like, okay, let's go to Nani's backyard or wherever.
Right. And I saw them with 2 bottles. I'm like, is that all they gave them to split amongst 8 people? Surely not.
Yeah, I don't even really drink anymore, not to brag or anything. Not like I'm better than everyone. But I was like, 2 bottles, there's 8 of them there.
That's what they get in a normal challenge house, and then you got to ask for more, and then they put the blue food coloring in it because apparently Tanya used to go to the challenges in Fresh Meat with vodka in her water bottle and stuff like that. So that's why they put the food coloring in the drinks too. Yeah. There's a scene, I think, on Invasion where Kayla is just drinking the blue vodka and then drinking the beer to chase it with, and it was a cool visual. I don't know. Yeah, I think the opening sequence was mainly just to hype up all the pairs and to make you think anyone could win, because I really think this is one of the few finals we've ever had where I looked at all 4 teams and thought, yeah, they could actually all win, because you have Leroy and Nani, who are a great story. Fessy and Casey, who are the villains. I think Team San Diego back on Battle of the Seasons were nobody wants to see them win, but they're good.
Yeah.
You got CT, who has the most experience, Amber, who has the least, and then Corey and Cam, who are on the precipice of grabbing the brass ring. They're experienced. They've been hungry to win.
I agree. Many final appearances out of those 2. It feels like this is the natural progression. But you're right. I think they definitely set up Fessy and Casey to be the villains. We have that segment where Nani and Cam are like, hey, they're so ahead of themselves. The thing that they're lacking is definitely experience. We've got that.
I mean, their experience on the challenge, although I'm not trying to give Fessy any credit, but in terms of their experience on the challenge, the 2 seasons they've done, haven't they both made it to a final?
Yeah, they steamrolled it.
Yeah.
I mean, Casey has as many finals as Nani. I mean, I know that Cam said why is Casey so overconfident? Why is she so cocky? She's Fessy's rubbing off her. And I'm just thinking to myself yeah, but Casey is really good. She's actually way better than Fessy in the female division, because she has killed the challenges. She's killed the social game. She's killed the political game. She's just not entertaining. And she won Big Brother, so she has that over him. She won $500,000 already.
Right.
With a similar strategy of silent but deadly.
I think Cam and Leroy specifically feel a bit jaded by Casey, and I can understand why. And now it's just okay, you're good, but we're not going to give you that credit because you kind of spit on us in the process.
Yeah, and then, and I'm proud of Corey because, as you know, he's doing it for his family.
He has a family?
That stack of photos, I wish my wallet looked like that. It was I was like, wait a minute, doesn't he only have 2 kids?
You can have multiple photos of your kids. It's not, I loved it.
The stack was this thick.
I like to imagine it's a bunch of his kids, and then it becomes Taylor, and then it becomes photos of Nelson, and then at the bottom it's I don't know, Alicia for
Yeah, I was literally about to say, throw in Alicia. Yeah.
And King Mitch Reed, who I recently learned is now a cameraman on Teen Mom.
Love that.
What?
In his bag.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't he an accountant? Now he's a cameraman. Wow, okay. All right. Good for King Mitch. We get into the final itself, and TJ drops the bomb on everyone. he says last place in the final on day one is going to be purged. And my immediate reaction was, ugh, it was gross. I'm like, why did you tell us you need a skull to run this final just to cut off people's legs when we get there?
I agree. And my gut immediately dropped because if I know Cam, who I love and I'm rooting for, her track record with purges and finals are not great.
Yeah, it definitely worried me because there's somebody on each team that I'm rooting for. Like at the very least, there's one person on each team that I'm rooting for. So I was like, oh, they all worked pretty hard to get there. Well, and again, as Allan said, what was the point of the skulls then?
I gotta say, I almost like crap my pants because it really, it set in that moment for me because like I've been a Leroy fan since day one of Rivals 1. On that season, he was the only person I knew. Him and Mike were the only two people I know. So I've had that really deep attachment to Leroy for a long time. And it set in this moment that like this could be Leroy's final episode of the challenge and he can get purged. And I'm going to cry if that happens. I'm going to like bawl. Like I'm a grown man, but like Leroy to me is almost like a friend because of how long I've watched him. And I was like, oh my, if they do this to Leroy in his like last episode of the challenge, it would be one of the worst TV moments ever.
I would lose it. It was also a really touching scene to see him just like become so overwhelmed with emotion when he was doing the cut to him and Nani talking about starting the final when he started crying. Oh, my heart.
I know. I was gonna say my heart as well. And he was like, there's nobody else who'd rather do this with the Nani. And they gave the cut back to them in 2010 or whenever their Vegas season was. And I'm like, they were babies, and now here they are, and this is his last one. And I want him to tell her, like, this is my last one, Nani.
And they finally gave like a cutback. I feel like in the last like few seasons we haven't gotten like flashbacks to like why people don't like each other, or they just like will show the hall brawl that was the week before.
Right.
Yeah, they got that All Stars editing this week finally, where they show them in Real World Las Vegas. Again, though, with Leroy for me, it was just I just thought about the X's 2 final where him and Teresa started like 2 hours behind Jay and Jenna, and eventually they caught up to them and beat them and got pretty decently close to Jordan and Sarah. But then I thought about the Rivals 1 final where him and Mike started in 3rd place, and I'm just like, oh my god, Leroy always starts these finals in last place, and he does eventually catch up to like 2nd, but like purges didn't exist back then. Purges exist now, and if you get caught at the wrong moment, it was just fear was instilled in me.
Yeah, and I think I don't like that. I know it makes it so like the second part of the final you can, visualize more people or have focus on those people, but we can't underestimate people having a good second day. They could have a blowout second day and pull through.
Turbo just, he had a great second day on World of Worlds 1. He was behind Wes on day 1. Day 2 kills it. Agreed. And also TJ announces that the winners of the season get $900,000 to split. 2nd place $100,000 and 3rd place gets nothing, which is really ridiculous to me. Like, why can't we up it to like 3rd place gets 100, 2nd place gets 200, 1st place gets 700,000? Because back in the day when they would have 3rd place get nothing, they were playing for $300,000. It's right. Way different now. It's harder now. So why are we giving these players less?
I agree. And my mindset is, okay, you bring 4 teams there. If the 4th team gets purged, okay, they don't get anything. Sure. It's like last place in the final. But all the other ones, absolutely. And I know it incentivizes being the winner, but like there should be some incentive to making that final as well.
Yeah, and finishing the final. Because thinking back to when, X's 2 or whatever, when it was Jay and Jenna, mm-hmm. They like all they had to do was finish and they would get some money. But that's no incentive to finish it at all.
Yeah, Devin Simone finishing the final on Free Agents was like a really big moment because that was her battle. It wasn't can she win, it's can she finish the final, and she finished the final. It took her a long time, but she did it.
And she got paid.
Yeah, she got paid.
Yep.
And she's still getting paid, as she should.
As she should.
The final kicks off with a 3-mile run, and it turns out they have a hurricane going on during it. They're going through rocky terrain, uphill, downhill. So this isn't your normal 3 miles. It only says 3 miles, but this is more like, I don't know, like a 7-8 mile run with everything going on and all the stuff that they're going through. there are rocks on the ground, and you could really see them with the GoPro cameras, which I usually hate the GoPro cameras, but for this final, it really gave you a sense of like what they were doing.
Yeah. At first, when he mentioned a hurricane, I was like, they're in Iceland. They don't get hurricanes. But I guess I'm just stupid because once they started that run, you're exactly right, Allan. You could see just how crazy it was.
I also liked with the GoPros, it was interesting to see all the different points of view because I'm so used to seeing some like cameraman try to catch up going with them or like so it was nice to see you sort of felt like you were in the final with them. It would show like,
Yeah.
oh, like Nani's cam and like she's running, and you're like, okay, like this is what she was seeing when she was running it. And those rocks looked so unstable. It reminded me of when you first like walk into some water at like a beach you've never been at. Someone's like, oh, it's fine, just don't the first part is rocks, and then you get to sand, you're like, okay, and you're walking like so wobbly.
No, I'll never forget. There was one time with friends. We went to this beach called San Onofre, and the tides were so high, and it was just all rocks. There was no sand. It was rocks, then beach, and we just kept hitting from the tide would hit us into the rocks, and it was the worst experience of my life. And that's what I thought of when watching this final. There are really two types of finals. There are bad finals, and there are visually stunning finals, and this is a visually stunning final.
I agree. It's been a visually stunning season. I think we're a little over the black rock, the really, really green, grass, I guess, with like the gray sky, but it is really, really pretty. And, typically a 3 mile run, like you said, Allan, would be a walk in the park. But if you can't have any footing, that's really tough.
Yeah, I'm too clumsy, so I don't think I could run that very well. I have the balance of like an egg. Humpty Dumpty and I, same playing level.
In the run, I felt bad for Nani because she was clearly the eighth place runner. She's not necessarily bad when it comes to cardio. It's just all the actually bad people are gone, and because of that, she's looking less impressive. Uh, and again, it's like that thing with Leroy. It's like, oh my God, come on, Nani, please, please. Just I don't know how she could become better, but I want her to become better in that moment because I don't want to see either of them fail.
I agree. That was my first thought when they panned her in dead last. I'm like, if Leroy goes home today, it would be because of Nani, let's be real. And I was like, that's so crushing. Like if she's the reason that his last season ever ends like this, horrible.
And she wouldn't even know. I feel like a good motivation would have been right before to be like, Nani, I gotta tell you this. I've been like holding in it all season. Cam's the only one that knows. This is my last season. I will not be coming to compete on the challenge again. It was great that he went at her pace, but I'm not sure that's a good motivator.
Yeah.
It's better than what Fessy was doing.
Everything is. Like,
yeah, I don't.
Better.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Fessy's just a jerk.
He's
I really, yes, I wanted Leroy to yell at Nani a little bit and be like, come on, pick it up. But, as he said in his confessional, I'm going to be nice, going to be kind. But I don't really know what like motivates Nani in that realm. So I'm sure Leroy knows more than I would since I'm just a spectator. But I wanted her to just pick it up.
There was also, in terms of yelling, a really interesting moment when Amber B like turns around and is like yelling at CT. She's like, "Come on, CT." CT's like, "Don't yell at me." Excuse me.
I think
he
verbatim,
said it so fast that I had no clue if he actually said it. I was like, did I imagine that in my brain?
verbatim, I think he said, "Don't talk to me like that," and it caught me off guard because that's how CT talks to his partners.
Yeah, like wait a damn minute.
Yeah.
Now can we get some playbacks?
Exactly. Like maybe a cutscene of him saying that to Big T. If you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that I'm not the biggest Amber B fan, but she smoked that run.
She's so good. And I think the long legs, that comes in handy in a run like this where you got to make those strides. Because when you're going uphill, you gotta take those like lunges. And I gotta say, there is part of me that's like, okay, maybe we should have seen this coming because she is a model, which people are like, yeah, model means she's hot, but like, no, she is an actual model. She's not a fake model. She like her specific body type to stay that thin, with also having curves in certain places. You're probably running a lot daily while maintaining like a strict diet. So it makes sense on paper, but we haven't seen this person all season.
She like really impressed me, and it also sort of made me wonder, was she maybe like holding back throughout the season?
Yeah, I
You
was
don't want to come
thinking
in too hot as a rookie, right?
that's true. I mean, she won those 2 hall brawls, which were easy, but you know, I think that Darrell is a great partner with her, but like he doesn't stick out of the crowd that much anymore. Whereas like CT is like, she knew she had him as the partner. She knew he'd won those 3 finals before this. She feels like she's on top of the world. She has motivation. It's game time, and maybe she just needed that really intense feeling of like, hey, this is make or break it right now.
Even with Darrell, she was never good. Like they never did well together. And like that mini final, they came in like 6th or 7th place. So again, it's just like, who is this person? It's just she killed it. Good for her winning that first portion. Fessy and Casey come in second. Corey and Cam, my bad. Corey and Cam come in third, right behind them. And fourth was Leroy Nani. It was a good first portion. And we're going to talk about the second portion right now. Switching into the second portion, after the initial run, CT announces that they will be playing a mystery game with a big advantage. And it's the same thing as the first daily challenge of the season, where players had to run up a giant hill, memorize a pipe that had colored strands on it. They would then go to their little station and plug in wires that coordinate with the colors on the pipe. It gets really physical in the male round between Fessy and CT. All the men don't want CT to win, and then CT goes on to win.
Yeah, when TJ announced that this was, you know, the little thing and there was an advantage that would come from it, I was like, please don't let CT and Amber B win this. But I really did think it was cool that they brought this back from the first day. It kind of gave the season, like, I know the final's not over after this, but kind of a cap end type feeling. We're like, oh, we've seen this before. This is something they should be good at, or at least prepared for, because they've done it. And then yeah, CT wins his round, and it's like, damn.
Which is odd because I feel like I don't remember him doing too well in the first episode. I know that Fessy was the male winner. So I sort of expected more.
I will say that CT the first time around, he was just like there throwing the shoe at Wes. Like he was because he wasn't in the main pile of people wrestling, because he's like, I'm too old to be wrestling 10 other dudes. I'm not gonna wrestle Michi. I'm not gonna wrestle Josh. I'm not gonna wrestle Jay. That's like beneath me. I'm too old for this. But this is the final on the line, so he's like, oh, wrestle Fessy? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that all day. And we know CT's smart, so he'll kill this.
Yeah, and him and Fessy too, like they've had their banter all season long. But when Fessy would not like even let him see it, and it was getting super physical, and you even heard Casey being like, just let him see it. Like, you're tiring yourself out for no reason. Like, lose the ego. It was so funny to me because those two guys, whether you like CT and hate Fessy, you can admit they have huge egos. So yeah, it's time to shine right now.
They do. I also found it confusing that Fessy was trying to hide the capsule from CT, because you're just giving the other guys more time to figure it out. Like you're giving Corey and Leroy some headway because they could just be over there solving it. You don't know that. Why are you putting in so much energy to like stop someone else? You should be putting in more energy to motivate yourself more and get yourself going.
And then the female round, oh my bad. And then the female round goes, and really shocking, Amber B pulls out the W. Who is this person? I don't know who this person is.
This is just Amber.
Been here all season.
This is just Amber. Amber B is gone. Amber M is gone. This is Amber.
Which is so funny since TJ still called her Amber B. I'm like, okay, you can give it up now, but you're right. Totally crazy. And yeah, she got slammed to the ground before the commercial break, I think. And, I think it might have been Casey that was like, all right, girl, welcome to an actual final. And I'm like, well, eat your words, Casey. She didn't have to be super physical with you all, and she still won this. It's insane to me.
It's not too shocking in the sense that Nani and Casey aren't puzzle people, and while Cam can solve puzzles, she usually does so at a pace. In that Cam is about accuracy rather than speed in whatever thing she takes on. and that sometimes bites her in the butt. It's just, you know.
I think it also. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I'm so sorry. I just was gonna say, we've not really seen Amber B perform on a puzzle. We saw the math problem, but this was definitely not a math problem. So maybe this is a hidden skill of hers.
I also think that it was helpful that the other girls underestimated her. They absolutely had no inclination that, Amber was going to win this or she was going to do well at all. So I think that their underestimating her gave her that underdog story and helped her.
Not only that, but she ended up being the overall winner, and I think that's partially because there was much less wrestling in the female round versus the male round. I think that's what they were busy doing. Amber B gets like the twist is instead of like a time advantage, she gets to choose who her partner is, and she sticks with CT because like why would you take Fessy at this point? Why would you take anyone else at this point?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I love the twist. Like, usually twist in the final, I'm like, that's so dumb. But the whole season's been about switching partners. Loved it. And yeah, it was a no-brainer not to switch. And I have to ask myself, would CT have switched? I don't know.
I was a little confused because the way that it was phrased, I know, shocking. I was confused about something that TJ said. But he was like, oh, do you want to go rogue? Steal a partner? And I was like, wait, could she have just gone rogue? Could she have run the final by herself?
Yeah.
Was that an option?
At first, when he said go rogue, I thought, wait, like, why would she be by herself? So you're exactly right. I was like, He should have just said, do you want to switch?
If Fessy had won, he keeps Casey most likely. I did find it hilarious that Fessy was like, oh, wow, I dodged a bullet by Amber not stealing. He had that look on his face like, the Amber didn't steal me. It's like, bro, she doesn't want to steal you. She's killing this final by herself. It's like she lost you. You didn't like. And then if Cam had won this, do you think she would have stole Leroy?
I honestly don't know. Like, I know we went back and forth about like, if one of them wins, they at least bring money home. But if they both win together, that's $900K as opposed to $450K. And she might see how he's doing with Nani so far and be like, ooh, I don't want him to lose this.
But then there's also that sort of screws over Nani, right? And it seems like Nani and Cam are friends now, as opposed to World of the Worlds.
They're friends, but you screw over Nani in that situation. I'm sorry, I love Nani, but you gotta screw over your friend. That's a cutthroat play you gotta make.
But that's also your boyfriend's friend.
I think what happens is if Cam were to win that and she would still Leroy and be like, Nani, I'm putting you in good hands. Corey's still a great partner. But she could also wipe her brow and be like, okay, I don't have Corey either. Not that Corey's horrible, but like she's going to have more motivation to win if she's next to Leroy.
That's like an executive decision I think you have to make because it's his last season. If it wasn't his last season, you don't make that move. But like if you see your man drowning in fourth place, you got to lift him up.
Well, here's a real question. If Leroy were to win that, would he go to Cam or would he go to Casey?
I think he still feels betrayed by Casey.
That's true.
Because given, it made sense that Casey and Fessy were going to partner up. But, to Leroy, this is something that he's like, have they been plotting this all season?
Right. And I don't think he would do that to Nani in that situation if it meant Nani would be the Fessy. So that's fair.
I think it's more meaningful for Leroy on his last season to be running it with, the person he started his MTV journey with.
Right.
Well, not the only person, but.
If Nani won this, do you think she would steal Corey to give Cam to Leroy because she'd want to see Leroy win with Cam and she knows she can't win the final? Do you think she would do that? I feel like that's something that Nani as a friend would do.
That is a crazy concept that I've not thought of, but I'll think through it right here. Maybe. Nani is very selfless, and I do think after that first running portion, she's like, I'm tying him down.
Yeah, I think that she would definitely consider it. I think that maybe Cam would also come up with that idea and be like, Nani, switch. Do it.
I don't know, because I think that's such a slap in the face too, because it'd essentially be like, Nani, we think you're being purged, so like Corey, you're gonna get purged too. And I know in the final it doesn't matter, like all bets are off, but that would be such a tough situation.
Yeah,
I'll go for it.
well, I was just gonna say, and Corey's doing it for his family, and Fessy wouldn't switch because he's too much of an introvert. So
Right.
If Nani did that, it would top the Nelson sacrificing himself to put himself in elimination for Corey, because that would be like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. This final, there's so many little twists, and I actually do hate this twist that you can switch partners, because that should not be a thing. Like, you win the skull to get here. Now we're switching it again after a whole portion too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious if Amber would have switched, like how they've done the times. I guess just average them. I don't know.
I don't hate the switching partners. I just hated that it was like a possibility every week. I think it should have been like, I don't know, some stupid security breach would happen, and then you were able to maybe switch partners. It was just like tiring that like every week.
Yeah, I liked it for the season because it was one of the only things that added intrigue to a boring game. Because it was just like, oh, what can happen? Well, like, how can things shift? Or like, because we hit a point in the season where it just hit a very boring lull, and that was the only thing at the end of episodes were like, oh, how are things gonna shake up?
Yeah, and I think it added a level of upward mobility, at least in the game, of like, you don't like your partner, you can switch if you're ballsy enough to do it.
It only annoyed me after a while because it became too predictable. It was like, okay, so which girl's going to steal Fessy and which guy's going to steal Cam?
That's true. That's true.
And who's going to be mean to Big T?
It's all...
After this, we had a section where the players had to run. I mean, also, I want to backtrack a little bit. During the female portion of the second twist that Amber won, the hurricane was really in full force. Even TJ was covering his face.
It was like a small animal. He was like,
it definitely added a level of intensity that otherwise probably wouldn't have been there. I enjoyed it.
Agreed.
I think I would have enjoyed it more if the season didn't already have such a like dark color scheme going on.
Yeah, given very Wizard of Oz vibes, like you're about to see a house and red slippers under it, and yeah.
Yeah.
After this, the players had...
Sorry.
Yeah. After this, the players had to run again and grab some keys at the top of a mountain, and then come back down to unlock an eating portion is what they would find. And we're going to take a quick little break here because we're about to jump right into that section. And we're back. And the next portion of the final was them running up the mountain, and Fessy is trying to push Casey to go as fast as she can. Even Corey knows, like, man, he's pushing her past her limit, because like Casey can run, but if you make her go at your pace, Fessy, then she's going to become exhausted. CT is just trying to keep up with Amber. Corey and Cam are going at a great pace together, and Leroy and Nani, again, are just trailing. It hits a point where after they grab their keys and on the way back, Casey slips, and her knee does not go in the way that a knee should go. It is pretty obvious, like immediately, that it's not good. Cam and Corey walk by them, like run by them, and they see it, like, oh man, are you okay? And then they just run by because they can't stop because it's the final. Like, you stop there, and CT and Amber win. Leroy and Nani, same situation. Fessy is just sitting there, like, upset, like, like, how could you dare fall? How, like, he never thought to himself, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't push Casey to go this fast.
Wow.
Yeah, that entire portion, a few takeaways. Leroy and Nani pick it up. But yeah, Casey clearly was at her limit, and when she fell, I'm like, well, no crap that was going to happen. Like, you're overexerting her. And he wasn't very compassionate. He just sat there and smirked and looked at the camera and looked at Nani and threw his hands up when they passed. And it's like, compassion, love, is this not your friend? Is this not who you wanted the time? And I don't want to call it karma, especially not for Casey. Like, I hate that for her. But it's like, how might have things panned out if she ran with Leroy? Or how might have things panned out if Fessy were a decent partner?
I'd like to note that when Corey and Cam ran by, although they obviously couldn't stop to help, both of them did yell out that she needed a medic.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that was already more helpful than Fessy was. Fessy, like, I'm not saying he had to hold her hand through the whole final, but you could physically hold your friend's hand while they're screaming in pain. Like we've seen, I'm sure Casey's like, I don't know, scraped her knee during a daily or something, but like you could tell she was wailing in pain.
Yeah, I just can't imagine like not blaming myself in that moment. Even if it wasn't my fault, even if I was like running slower than Casey, I'd be like, man, if I was running faster and was catching up to her, then I would have been able to make sure she didn't fall. Like, Fessy, what the hell, bro?
He doesn't care, and he's a lot, like, he has an obviously completely polar opposite physique to Casey. It's not that Casey's not in shape or anything, but she's smaller, so her running leg span is totally different from his. And also, he was already at TJ and was like, okay, Casey, let's go. Just didn't care.
Yeah. And it needs to be a lesson for Fessy. Now, will he learn? Probably not. But, not every season is an individual season. He did one last season and didn't win. You've got to be able to work well with people. And of all people that are left, even of all people that started the season with him, Casey should have been the one to do it, and he still couldn't do it.
Yeah, if he wasn't rushing her, she probably wouldn't have slipped.
Yeah. But for some reason he never even thinks about that. It never even passes his mind. We get to the eating portion. The food, usually I'm like, oh, this food isn't that bad. This food is, this is doable. This time around, it looked pretty intense. They had to eat like sheep heart, ram testicles for the second time this season. They had to drink a whole giant mug of blood. Sheep face actually didn't look that bad. I'm gonna be real with you, and a bunch of other stuff.
That's so funny to me because the one thing that really got me was sheep face. Like I just imagine like the texture of even my own cheek with like hair out of it. Oh, it made me feel sick.
It looked a little crispy. That's why I was like, oh, that's a little bit easier. Like because you could like fold it and just like take it down. Whereas like when you bite into the ram testicle, because those were big meaty ram testicles, you bite into it and you just know there's so much stuff inside of there. Yeah.
None of it looked that bad to me.
What?
Okay, Nikki.
I mean, no, because usually it's stuff like stomach or intestine, and I'm like, I've eaten intestine before. I've eaten this and that. I've never had ram testicle in my life. I'm not actively trying to eat that.
The pint of blood, and maybe that's a delicacy. I doubt it is in Iceland. Maybe it's not that bad, but just the concept of drinking blood, I think, is so overwhelming. Like you could even put flavoring in it.
I know in other countries what people do, like blood is a common thing eaten in African countries, where you'll have a goat and you have the goat for milk, but then you could also like stab your goat, take the blood out, eat it, and like the goat will still be alive. It's a thing. It's a delicacy in Latin countries too, like blood sausage, blood pudding, blood soup, etc., etc. I didn't think the blood was that bad. It also had a good strawberry color to it in this episode.
It was a cool mug too. I thought the
mug
was cool. Mug. I was like,
y'all
it's
are
frosted.
Sick.
I know that I am.
Bro, I'm Mexican from Southern California, so I've gone to some weird Asian markets. I've gone to some weird Latin markets where I've gotten some weird foods in the past, and some of them slap. It's weird, but I'll try anything. I'm not gonna try ram testicles though. I'm not about that life.
That's fair.
This is part of my people's culture, stealing other people's culture. So we gotta like test it out.
Yeah. I cracked up at Leroy being like, I mean, I'm most used to the testicles, but it goes with what Allan said. Like they've already eaten testicles once this season, so you know what that tastes like.
I feel like the spray back of it would be very similar to like, I can't have any different wording. You know when you eat a sausage at like a barbecue and you take a bite of it and it just kind of like.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I feel like the spray back. Not that kind of spray back. I don't know what kind of barbecue.
Look, man, you open with testicles, you go into that. I'm not. What are we to expect?
Don't open with testicles.
What has my browser history told me to expect?
Right.
I don't know. Mine's all
Uh,
incognito, so I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah. So yeah, everyone's eating. They're doing pretty good. Corey is like open about like, yeah, I'm really good at eating and puking. That's my thing. I'll try it and I'll puke. I'll try it. It's a good format. Cam, not a good eater. Just like I did find it funny when she was like, Corey, why don't you eat? And Corey was like, I got food in my mouth already. It's you or it's you who's like maybe a little bit slower.
They were
Yeah,
funny.
they were funny. And I think it was, what was it? Final Reckoning, where she got purged for not finishing an eating challenge fast enough or being like the one to eat the least. I was like, oh, she's really going to struggle. It was really interesting to me to see their different strategies, I guess. Like CT's was definitely like eat, 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 peer pressure, Amber, peer pressure, Amber, peer pressure, Amber. Leroy and Nani were like, we can do this, we can do this. But Cam and Corey were like, this is going to suck. Corey's like, I'm going to pretend like I'm eating it, then spit it out. Because you're right, Allan, that's a great strategy. It was all gross. The throw up montage, oh, couldn't do it.
I was just eating my noodles. I was fine. I think it's because I'm not athletic, and I know this is probably the only portion other than a trivia challenge that I would be successful in. They'd be like, you just have to eat this stuff. It's it's fine. And I want to note that it was really cute when Corey was talking to Cam while they were eating. He's like, okay, now you're having like the sheep something. And she's like, don't tell me what I'm eating. I don't want to know.
Right. Ignorance is bliss.
Leroy was killing it. Nani was struggling, but she was trying her best because of Leroy. I think CT. I don't know if CT actually enjoys eating this food, but I know he knows that the edit will look better on him if he's like, ah, da, 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 let me. I mean, I'm this monster who eats all this food. I'm the cookie monster when it comes to gross food. And
The
he
testicle
kind of got
monster.
Amber. Yeah, and he kind of got Amber on that same train too. Amber with her beautiful blue eyes, with all the puke on, like the red blood on her face, looked actually kind of gnarly. She looked like the hottest Walking Dead zombie ever.
She looked like a vampire. I loved it.
I will give her more credit, which you guys know I never do, but this entire episode, she was killing it in terms of how well she could kill it. But like, I was impressed.
We're
Again,
even calling her Amber and not Amber B.
yeah. Again, who is this person? I've not seen this
Amber.
person all season, and I'm like, no. If there was an idea of a person named Amber in those previous episodes, that person is gone. This is a new person. I have no idea who she is. She's killing this final. Casey somehow gets the medic to tape her leg up and allow her to walk down the mountain with Fessy, and she gets to the eating portion. She pops it open, and she just takes a big bite of ram testicle, and Fessy refuses to eat while she's just killing herself with one leg. It is one of the weakest moments in challenge history, I think, because his partner with a bad leg is still trying and he can't even taste it. This is why people hate you, man. This is exactly why people hate you.
And here's the thing. I can play devil's advocate. I understand Fessy's point of, if we're going home anyways, why would I do this? But it's also like, you've made it this far. Your partner, who you know is not going to make it. I mean, I'm speculating here, but like, she looks pretty bad off. Just eat it. Like, if she's doing it, like, I know you might think she's let you down. Don't let her down. Make her feel like it's okay that even though she's hurt and you guys might go home, you're still going to be in this. But he's like, nope, I'm washing my hands because Casey's done. We're done. It's so frustrating, but so Fessy.
All you had to do was like, I don't know, play along with it, like humor her a little bit by doing it. And it brought me like right back to Jay and Jenna, Access 2, when he was like, oh, I can't drink this, so I guess we're just out. I guess we just won't do it. I absolutely would be like screaming at him. I'd be like, you're
The
gonna
other
put this
players
ball in
were.
your mouth. Yeah.
I mean,
As they
Casey was,
should.
the other players were, and they're like, I don't know how you can call yourself a top dog and then do this. You're an absolute loser, bro. I just flat out.
It's infuriating to me too, because the two people he took out this season, Nelson and Kyle, like if they were in the same situation, they would still eat. I know they would. Neither of them would be like, oh, we're out. Like, even for a second, I thought maybe Kyle, but no, he'd do it. Like, he knows what the show is. Like, let's talk about it as an outside type thing. It's still a show where you need entertaining moments. He should know that, like, he's a character on a show, and this is entertaining. This is going to show him as a good person. This is going to show him as a competitor, but he doesn't care. It's so confusing to me.
Yeah, it was just like so sickening to watch. He's like such a sore loser.
Mm-hmm.
He's the worst.
Baby.
He wants to be known as the top dog, but isn't willing to do anything to make him look like one. It's ridiculous. Amber and CT win the portion by a good margin.
Yeah.
CT tells them that, hey, your reward is you get to give some more sheep organs and ram testicle and some blood to another team. They have this plate. They don't know who they're going to give it to. Are they going to give it to Leroy and Nani? Are they going to give it to Cam and Corey? Or are they going to give it to Fessy and Casey? And Leroy and Cam are like, give it to Fessy and Casey. They're not winning anyway. Just like, don't be a jerk. And that's like, it's CT. He knows what it takes to win a final. He might give it to Leroy and Nani because he knows Leroy's the best eater. And he might give it to Cam and Corey because they're in second place. It is a cliffhanger that is unnecessary, but also to set up for next week.
Yeah, in my heart as a viewer, I was like, oh yeah, give it to Casey and Fessy. But I'm also not a challenge champ. CT is. The smart thing would be to give to someone who's still in the contention. Even if it pisses them off, it's for money. And he says to Amber, this very well could be a $450,000 or $900,000 decision. And then we get the cliffhanger. But the speculator in me wants to say he gives it to Cam and Corey.
I liked watching Nani be like, please don't. Come on, man. Please don't. Please don't do this. I would have been like, hey, remember when I made you the rogue agent and I just let you skate here? Come on, man.
True.
I screenshotted that moment of Nani. Her face was like, no, because she was already like dreading all the food she's eaten at that point. It's like I can't do more. I can't possibly do more.
I would have given it to Fessy because I'm petty, and in the words of the great philosopher Marie Rhoda, you're corny.
Yes.
You deserve it.
I'm giving it to Cam Corey all day, every day, because like that's your competition right now. That's your only competition.
Is that a bookend again from episode 1 when he didn't pick her? He's like, now I'm picking you.
Oh my God! If he said that, that'd be very petty, and people would be very mad.
They're already mad.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And, we don't see who the Purge team is. And it does look from the preview that we see Casey and Fessy continuing. But just by watching Casey get to the stand where the food was, I can't see her lasting much longer.
No. The bandaging that they did, like, I'm not a medical professional or anything. And I think that the tightness or the compression of her leggings were probably very helpful in that time. It kind of just looked like they like tied a little bunny loop of gauze, and they were like, okay,
walk to the platform.
Did the cameraman do it?
Did TJ do it? I don't know.
Yeah,
they are getting purged. I am going to say it out right here. There's no way this team is continuing, especially because Fessy isn't eating. He's not eating,
true.
so I don't know what's going to go on.
I want TJ to call him out so bad. Call him out.
Same. Be like, Fessy, you want to be here? Fessy will get mad at TJ, which you shouldn't do, and TJ just cuss at him. Love when he does that.
Oh, it gives me so much joy. It's like watching Jeff berate people on Survivor.
Yeah, for casual viewers, maybe the cliffhanger for next week is like, who are CT and Amber going to give it to? For people who are like deeply invested in this and hate Fessy, it's like, will TJ yell at Fessy?
Yeah, we're like, we hope so. I mean, he won't yell at him the same way Jeff would. Jeff would be like, so you don't love your kids back home?
Right.
You're not going to hold on to this bullying longer? Yeah. Amber's like, I do with Darrell.
I've got to say, after watching this first portion, I've doubted Amber B all season. The time that I've been in this podcast, I've been a staunch hater of Amber B. I'm going to take away the B for a moment. Amber killed it this episode. I said on last week's podcast that, CT might carry her. Amber won their first run. She won the tube thing when, yes, she wasn't fighting as much as CT was, but she still won that. And she was a trooper with this eating. Like, they are dominating this final so far. I'm glad there's a second day because, some of my other favorite teams are still in it. But, geez, it's incredible to watch.
Yeah, she can lose.
I'm mad at Cam right now. I'm like, dude, you're letting this girl dust you. Like, she's dusty. She's killing you. It's not CT's beating you. Amber's destroying you. And, like, you're supposed to be the queen of the challenge right now. kick butt, man, because you got to go into full engage. I know it's a marathon, not a sprint, but sometimes it is a sprint in certain moments, and it's getting bad. It's looking especially ugly, especially if they get that extra plate of food.
I think the mindset of it's a marathon, not a sprint is fine. But after CT and Amber win the first 2 checkpoints, that third one, the 2-mile run and the food, you've got to kill it.
Yeah, I also think I think that all the women are underestimating Amber, and it's giving her an advantage. Everybody's like, oh, we got to make sure CT doesn't finish. We got to make sure CT doesn't come in first. It's like, well, he has a partner.
I also think, too, that because Nani and Leroy are partners and because Cam is in the final as well, there's a lot of distractions there where Cam is like, oh my God, is Leroy going to get purged? Where she's not focused on like, oh my God, am I going to win this checkpoint and even this final in the long run? Whereas like maybe if Leroy weren't there, Cam would be more focused and vice versa. Maybe if Cam weren't there, Leroy would be much more focused.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I think it feels like people aren't as focused as I want them to be. Like, I'm not there. I'm not competing, but like, isn't this what you've been working toward?
Yeah, it just felt to me like CT and Amber were definitely like in final mode. Fessy and Casey before the slip up, quite literally, were in final mode. But the first 2 checkpoints, like Nani and Leroy and Cam and Corey, I'm like, come on. Like, this is what you've been here for probably 10 weeks for.
Yeah, step it up.
It's maddening. Do you guys have any final thoughts on the episode before we wrap up?
I think that about covers it for me.
For me, I just wanted to say that like when I initially watched it before we started recording this, I was like, this episode's like, I wasn't like jazzed on it. But like talking to you guys about it, now I'm like, okay, this was actually a really good episode.
I enjoyed it. It was different. And it also opened my eyes to Amber B. I'm still not a fan, but like Amber. I've got to give. Oh, you're right, Amber. Let me give her credit, but she's doing something right. It's a little late in the game, but now's when it matters, I guess.
Amber pulled a Pretty Woman on us. She pulled like, who is this? I don't know who this girl is. And
bamboozled,
hoodwinked, led astray.
Yeah, she fire festivaled all of us.
Exactly.
Man, okay. Maybe this was the most exciting episode of the season, and it's at the end. You never hear that because usually it gets to the final, and I check out, and I'm actually engaged. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you can, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, at Caffeine Confessionals, caffeineconfessionals.com. Follow Luke on Twitter at ThePQLuke, Nikki on Twitter at TheNikkiSin, myself at the Allan. Have a fantastic day.